guys, welcome back. This isn't everyone's cup of tea because a lot of my viewers, at least from what I feel, are younger than me. Maybe I'm wrong. I do hope that most of my audience is at my age. It could still be a useful and entertaining process. The actual documentation process was for the span of 3 months. Well, I was initially gonna live alone, and then my friend approached me and was like, hey, let's move to Vienna together. So I thought, you know what, let me live with my roommate because he's a really good friend of mine, still is. More than half of this video actually, I was with him the entire time, and then later on in the other half of the video, he didn't come with me anymore. When I was going to the viewings alone, I was a lot more nervous, so that's why at the end, the last couple of apartments that I was looking at alone, I barely had any footage. I'm going to tell you what exactly I was looking for. First of all, aesthetics is very important to me. I only wanted to look at Altbau. I think modern architecture is very disappointing. Typical characteristics are the high ceilings. They're 3 to 4 meters high, so it makes even a smaller apartment feel very spacious. I also wanted the double doors. You can see them behind me. That's an example. Obviously, it needed a lot of natural light due to the nature of my job. I don't want to live in a dungeon. Location is also important. I was looking specifically at the inner districts of Vienna. It had to be within walking distance to some sort of public transport, preferably the U-Bahn, so the metro, because that's the fastest mode of transport and it's the most well connected, at least 70 square meters. And later I realized that I also had to actually set an upper limit, at least 2 rooms. I could not have a single studio apartment where it's just my bedroom. I had to have a private kitchen or a private bathroom. I was not going to share that with anyone. Either freshly renovated or already installed. I was not about to manually install a kitchen. I do not want a gas stove either. That was one of my big no's. If it had a gas stove, I'm running the other direction because I'm scared of those. Since I was only looking at Altbau, the usual energy efficiency, if you're not familiar, it's a European, I think, concept. For an old apartment, the best you can get is a C. Worst you can get is the worst of the worst, basically. I was trying to look for something in the middle, or at least like from C, D to E I could accept, but anything lower than that was not okay just because I might have issues and my bills will also be ginormous. It had to be unfurnished. If it came with any furniture and I had to pay an Ablöse or some shit like that, I'm running the other way. Hello guys. Something that I didn't mention is like where I was looking at the apartments, because I know someone's gonna ask, but I use vienna. All of those shit that you see in this video I found on vienna. And then second thing, that there were actually only 8 apartments inside this video that I filmed and that like I prepared, but I viewed far more than 8, like so many, and I just didn't film them. I'm adding like the prices of all the apartments that I viewed. I'm not adding like more detail about the one I'm currently living in. All the other ones you will see throughout the video, I added all the details. All the prices that you see, the monthly rent doesn't actually include any like energy, electricity, or heating costs, and that on top would usually be like, for an older apartment, around 300 euros. So you also have to keep that in mind. So it's the monthly rent plus the energy costs of around 200 to 300. I just had to mention that because I was about to add that all in manually. Hey guys, I wanted to show you some of the cute clothes that Cider sent me. So first off, the thing I'm wearing right now is from there. I remember I saw this top like a couple months ago on TikTok. It looks so adorable, and I love that it's longer at the back and shorter at the front, and like this little swirly ruffle makes you kind of look like a little princess. This is like such a cute like statement piece. I love that the back has like a little bolt, you can tie it. Also, these shorts are also from there, and it comes in a set. So these are like floral print, and they're also cotton. Okay, and then like to complete the set, there's also a little top, and this is the set, so you can also choose kind of like how tight you want it, and you can do it in like different ways. Literally gasped when I saw this. Kind of a really long top. Been really loving the idea of those. I love the lace. I made it loose, but you can also tighten it, so it's like almost, it's pretty much a baby doll top. I love like that the lace part is so large. Then this next top, it's a little more basic. I feel like with this, again, quite versatile because it's all buttons, and you could button it all the way up. A tank top, or you can leave it open, and I like it like that. This is another skirt that I got, black mini skirt, but I love the top part, like the little silver gem buttons. Again, very versatile. Love like the bow at the front as well. I don't know, I like that it's kind of sheer. You can even do something else with this, like make it a halter neck or something. These are probably my favorite things that I bought, and I found 2 pairs that I really love. So ever since I got this in the mail, I've been wearing it non-stop because I love how it looks. I'm quite short, as I've already said, so it's a struggle for me to buy jeans, and these actually do fit me. They are still the slightest bit long, but I can't even blame them because I'm just like abnormally short, touching the ground slightly, but when I wear platform shoes are slightly off ground, this doesn't touch the ground. Perfectly fitted at the top, and it's also low rise. Like, it's actually low rise. I get so many jeans that are low rise. For me, it just doesn't fit like a low rise, and this actually does. Also just fits really nicely because the bottom is baggy in like such a flattering way. They're also really comfortable, and I don't struggle with like putting them on because sometimes I do. I have weirder measurements. Ever since I got them, I've practically been wearing them every day with like different tops. And another pair, this one I don't like as much, but they're still quite nice. They're just more like simple. These fit really comfortably as well. I think they might be like slightly thinner, so they're a bit softer than the other ones. My own problem, again, it is a bit too long, this one. The other one fit a little better, so you can see I step on them a little bit. But, you know, one of those days where you just want to like wear something really baggy and soft, that is for this. So thank you, Cider, for sending over these really cute clothes. I'm definitely gonna make good use of them, and they fit with my current like style so much. You guys can go check out Cider in the link in the description. And you can use my code, which I'll put on screen here. This is the first apartment we looked at, and at this point I was still looking with my roommate. Area was really beautiful. It was located in Arsenal, which is actually a historical area, and I believe was previously used for military purposes. This was like a military ground, and you can tell it's very historic. Love the buildings. Like, I immediately got such amazing vibes from the area. You can feel the history there. This is like the little courtyard that you walk down on to access the apartment, which wasn't very awesome. It was kind of below ground level. So here's us inside the apartment. This is, first of all, the bathroom. It is freshly renovated, and you can tell the actual apartment inside, it was quite spacious. Like, there was definitely a lot of room, and the architecture of the place was quite nice. Had pretty much everything we thought was non-negotiable. The kitchen was also fresh. It had these beautiful windows, which was kind of a selling point to us, and the reason we wanted to look at it. Vintage looking windows, and these doors that were also matching with the vintage olden day architecture that I wanted. Also had these hardwood floors, and it had 4 pretty equally sized rooms. Now, as you can see, there are some issues with the layout. The floors and all the rooms had some really strange shapes, very weird nooks and crannies, which just made no sense to us, and it would be such a hassle to deal with when we actually move. Like, what am I supposed to do with this little like space here, this little dent? Like, the view and the lighting we got inside just wasn't amazing. It just kind of was a strange apartment. We left knowing for a fact that we didn't want this place. Although it's historic and beautiful, it was kind of stranded and like away from civilization. Although it was technically in a reputable district, in this 3rd district, it was quite far from main public transport systems and from the city. Now, on the flip side, we have this next apartment, an amazing location. It was directly on the Mariahilferstraße, the biggest shopping street in Vienna, and one of my favorite places to go to. It was inside a very beautiful building, and the inside of that apartment was absolutely stunning. It had these amazing beautiful windows with also these, I don't know what you call them, like this dents inside the wall. It also had these beautiful details on the ceiling with the lamp, which is quite unique. You don't actually see this often in apartments unless you pay like a lot in rent. Those are like more luxurious things that you usually don't get. That also kind of reflected in the price of this apartment. It was very beautiful, but it definitely was on the pricier side. I think this was one of the most expensive ones we looked at, but the size was actually not amazing. It was overall quite big. It had 2 very big rooms, but the 3rd room that it came with was extremely small, and my roommate just did not at all want to live in that tiny room. Yeah, overall it was a beautiful place. Not only that, it was one of the only apartments we looked at that was directly sold by the landlord without an intermediary. So the experience of the viewing was very personal, and also the landlord was incredibly kind, and we just had a really comfortable viewing experience. Throughout this video, I will mention this, but a lot of the times you get discriminated against when you're like a younger student and looking at bigger apartments. For obvious reasons, they think you can't afford it, but this didn't happen at all here. The next apartment was in an even better location. It was, I believe this was in the 1st district, which is notoriously known for being expensive. This is the wealthy part of Vienna and this heart of the city. It was also closest to my school and just convenient. The only downside to this was literally how intimidated we both felt when we went to the apartment viewing, a more public viewing, so a lot of other people were looking at that apartment, and a lot of those people are so much older than us. Like, when I tell you they were like middle-aged, it was a really nice apartment, but there was some construction going on, and it was also slightly pricier, definitely cheaper than the last one. It had the double doors that I really love, and it also had these beautiful windows and everything. It did not have the best view due to the construction. I think even if the two of us ended up loving this place and taking it, we would have very likely not gotten it due to the strong competition. If you're a student, you're very disadvantaged, and we are both students, so it's just not a good look. Alright, this next apartment, it was absolutely disgusting on the outside. It was in an amazing location again, very close to Maria-Hilfer-Straße, so amazing location. But the apartment outside, I was literally getting scared away because of all the graffiti, and overall just that place did not look amazing. Although the location was good, this specific building just looked broken. I literally was talking to my roommate and telling him how I will probably hate it. We ended up looking inside and it was actually quite nice. I really did not like the bathroom. There were 2 bathrooms, which is good. It was meant specifically for roommates and to share the flat with someone, and you can tell by the layout. It had an amazing layout for the 2 of us, and overall fulfilled my basic criteria despite being kind of ugly on the outside. It had quite a nice interior. The windows were a bit too modern for my liking, but it did have my beloved double doors, and the fact that there were 2 bathrooms was quite nice. The size to price ratio was very good for this one. It also had a built-in kitchen, which was modern and nice looking, so check off many boxes for us. My only real issue was the way it looked on the outside and the bathrooms, because the bathrooms had these weird patterns and colors that I just wasn't that big of a fan of, but that was just kind of nitpicky. I did feel a lot more comfortable at this viewing compared to the other. It felt more student friendly because other people that were looking were also around our age and were probably moving in as roommates, so it just felt like something that was more suitable for us. And this was also the first apartment that I requested a contract for. However, I did not end up signing the contract to this place, but this was like the first time we got close to actually renting. This next apartment had an absolutely beautiful entrance, which I had to film, and overall first impressions were amazing. And it was also an impromptu kind of apartment siting that I got for this place. It was located near Naschmarkt, so not the best location, but the Naschmarkt is a kind of street with a lot of nice cultural foods and restaurants and grocery stores, so that is kind of cool to me. Of course, it had the double doors. That was obviously going to be there. It had a lot of nice double doors and these big windows. This was also on the pricier side of the apartments. Overall, my roommate just didn't like the location. I mean, Naschmarkt is a great place if you're a foodie, and if that's obviously not what we're in Vienna for, it's not as close to public transport and to the other areas that we needed to get to. The biggest issue, and this is something that we didn't look out for before, is the lack of kitchen. This place did not have a kitchen at all, and that was an absolute no-go. Kitchen was non-negotiable for both of us. We were absolutely not going to buy our own kitchen. It's just stupid. We would not do that. So this was an absolute immediate no after we realized the kitchen didn't exist. So yeah, definitely look out for this when you're looking for your own apartment. Make sure that it has a kitchen, because it is pricey to build it yourself, and unless it's a long-term investment, there's no use to do that at all. Alright, this is the first time I'm going to a viewing all alone, because, plot twist, my roommate decided to not move to Vienna after all. He's staying back in his hometown for private reasons. There's a whole thing that went down, but we don't have to go through it. This is my first time looking alone, and I was definitely a little scared, intimidated also by the competition of the people there. Definitely okay for me alone. And also this apartment had the double doors that I loved. It had just overall pretty good vibes, but it did feel small. I mean, after all, the previous places I looked at were meant for 2 people, and now I'm looking for a single apartment, and it's just everything feels small. And it did have a great location, very close to my school, but I ultimately did not have like that love at first sight kind of moment. This is so mid. and it was €7. Here's the rest of my day. I did a little solo trip and went to this one little food place that I saw on TikTok. It was quite overpriced. I wanted to get sushi from there, but their serving sizes were quite small and everything was really expensive. It's just not something I'm used to. I overall did not love this place. There's definitely better sushi places in Vienna, and I ended up getting something else. I got like a little noodle bowl, and also that tasted really actually kind of ass. Like, it was really salty and the steak was overcooked. The flavors were just really mediocre. It was something I could have definitely made myself at home and probably better. I was eating this on the train ride home. I was pretty upset because it was actually quite expensive, and also it was a small portion size and it tasted so mediocre. The next disappointment, from here on it goes downhill because I was so stressed under time pressure looking for an apartment. It wasn't right, but I still applied for them and I still wanted to get them because I was desperate. I really needed a place and there weren't that many options for some reason at the time where I was really trying to sign a contract. This one, it had the worst freaking lighting you could possibly imagine. I need good lighting. Why is this place a dungeon? And also, it was so overpriced for what it is. It was far from my school. I still tried to sign. I got rejected. I'm speaking now, editing me, from the comfort of my new apartment. I am so freaking glad, like, that I got rejected. I'm glad that, because at the end of the day, I really feel like I was being protected from those places. The rejection was actually not rejection, it was protection. First one was literally a scam. Like, for the size that it was, and for the price that it was, I have no idea what I was thinking when I tried to take it. The other place, it was actually really beautiful. That place was so big. Like, it was great value, but the fact that it was so big, like, imagine me vacuuming all of that. I remember when the landlord was like talking to me for that place, she was like, "This is for you alone? The last people that lived here were a family of 4. What do you mean you want to live here alone?" This is officially my new home. Literally, there's so many amazing things about this place. There's just been nerves, actually, because I did actually have time pressure because of my trip to China, which I have planned, and I knew that I needed to get a place before that. So at the start, like, when I was looking in July, it wasn't like that much time pressure. It was just like, okay, fine, like, I get rejected, whatever, or I don't like this place, whatever. But then eventually it like became genuinely so stressful. I hadn't felt stressed like that since the exams. Like, I was really worried, thinking of so many different ways to find the one, have a nice landlord or whatever who would accept my like situation, because I'm really like disadvantaged when it comes to renting. I'm the youngest that you can possibly get with renting. I'm 18 and you can't go possibly younger. I'm a self-employed person, so that's again a huge disadvantage, and I'm a student. It's just for every like landlord, every person, like every middleman who hears about this, it's just a huge red flag. The first time I actually had a really good vibe going on with the landlord that was there. I actually ended up having quite a conversation with her like during the viewing, just about my job and my life, and for the first time I wasn't like met with disapproval. I didn't think that decision would happen that fast, but she called me the next day and she was like, there's a lot of people who want this apartment, but I actually think I would give it to you. The apartment itself is very beautiful. It's like nice big doors, basically everything I wanted. It also came, the last people that lived here did a great job with like maintaining it and adding convenient things here. Blinds also have really nice white sheer curtains. I couldn't have even installed anything that is better like this. If I didn't have these curtains, I would have went out and bought them myself. Bathroom is very nice and has this clean shower and like a little bathtub area, and I love having both of those things. And the kitchen is also like fresh and cleansed really well, and neutral colors and some dark wood, which is exactly what I wanted. There's a lot of storage, and it comes with pretty much all the appliances: a fridge, stove, a nice like electrical stove, and an oven. Everything I could have asked for and more. This whole apartment searching process has taught me something about life. If it's meant to be, then it will be. Like, this is the whole mindset of like those people that preach about manifestation, and that like the universe wants what's best for you, and if you get rejected, if something goes wrong, then maybe the universe was like protecting you or something from something else. I was butthurt like every time I got rejected. I would just keep telling myself and being delusional, like, it's not meant to be, I'll find one later that will be better. But this process showed me that that's true.